credit of everybody involved.
The shape of the engine nose cone and the spacing of the fan blades are modified in order to better deflect hail away from the core. Also, additional bleed doors are added to drain more water from the engine.
That sort of thing hasn't happened again, and there are thousands and thousands of these engines flying every day for hours and hours and hours.
Within a year of the incident, 737-300s around the world are retrofitted with the upgrades. The plane involved in the daring landing back in service within a month. Look at that one over there. That's what we're going to Kuwait.
Got it, my friend.
The crew's actions on Flight 110 are legendary in the aviation world.
The decision making at the very end, when they were going to put it in the canal and saw an opportunity to put it on dry ground and did so, that was superlative. It was the decision.
Investigators credit the calm nerves and determination of Captain Dardanelle for avoiding what could have been a fatal disaster. Captain Carlos Dardanelle is dubbed a hero in the media.
Passengers that day were overjoyed. Dardanelle and his crew kept the calm. And because of that, 45 people who rode that plane are alive today.
Today, the Dardanelle family tradition continues. Carlos's son and daughter have followed in their father's footsteps, both becoming pilots.
At the beginning, I was mad when I was shot. I was part of my vision, and then I had this accident that everything went well. And 20 years later, I have a career, I have a good life, and life is for a reason. The reason is for life.
All eyes on the Sunshine State of Florida as Tropical Depression 10 is headed for the warm water of the Gulf of Mexico and then straight to the Sunshine State. The system expected to become a hurricane in the next several days. The time to start preparing is, well, right now for those possible impacts. Good Sunday morning. Welcome to America's Weekend Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Reynolds Wolf.
And I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis already issuing a state of emergency for almost half the state. Coming up, where this storm could make landfall and where tropical warnings and watches are already going up.
Plus, it's been more than a century, more than 100 years since the Tampa Bay area has dealt with a major hurricane. But that could change. Well, it could change this week coming up. Coming up, an emergency coordinator with the Tampa Fire Rescue will join us live to discuss how their department is preparing for possible impacts, Kelly.
And Hurricane Franklin is expected to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane as it moves north, bringing impacts to the East Coast. Coming up, where beach conditions are expected to become dangerous due to rip currents and hazardous surf.
And it's time for Floridians to stock up and buckle down. All indications point to that landfalling hurricane for the Florida Peninsula or possibly the Big Bend region at midweek. Now, coincidentally, Floridians can purchase disaster supplies tax-free this week. National Hurricane Center is urging everyone to get ready and to remember impacts will be felt far from the landfall zone.
Nothing that we see out there right now is unusual, and if anybody watching has procrastinated and not gotten prepared for a hurricane center season, Mother Nature is trying to warn you. You better go ahead and do it now.
Okay, very well said. And obviously this morning, no surprise, the tropics, that's the topic, really.
And yesterday it was just a blob of storms we were tracking. Now it officially has been classified as a tropical depression number 10. Just kind of hanging out along the Yucatan Peninsula. There's Cozumel right where it is, and they have been experiencing some rain, and they will continue to do so today.
You see the history of this, you might wonder, why is it wobbling back? Why does it happen? It does happen quite a bit. These systems do wobble, but it is expected to make more of that forward progress going north and eventually northeast. Here's the story we anticipate.
Yeah, it's kind of stationary for now, but once it gets into the eastern Gulf, it moves right along. So we're talking by Tuesday night, 85-mile-per-hour winds, becoming a hurricane, 90-mile-per-hour winds. As it approaches the Big Bend area of Florida, kind of curves through Georgia and the Carolinas. After that, all the way through Thursday, we're going to be dealing with the impacts.
Most definitely. And as Kelly mentioned yesterday, and it's such a good point, the impacts can be felt very, very wide away from the center. So keep that in mind. Now, these spots that are affected with tropical storm warnings right now, it is mainly a story for Western Cuba and the Yucatan.
Yeah, tropical storm watch as well there in Western Cuba.
Wow.
Models have been pointing to increasing strength. I mean, it will be sitting over very warm water in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So really no surprise here. Tuesday into Wednesday, we do see the number climbing in terms of wind strength.
Yeah, you know that Saharan dust and this year we had in parts of the Atlantic, that's not a feature at all here. We've got a door that's wide open with plenty of warm water. Check out those temperatures, Kelly.
Yeah, it's like bathwater out here.
It really
These
is.
tropical systems feed off of these very warm sea surface temperatures, about 87 degrees off the western tip of Cuba, mid to upper 80s across the coast of Florida. So that will certainly not be an inhibiting factor. What will be an inhibiting factor, has been so far, is the shear to the north. But the Hurricane Center is saying it's getting away from the shear and likely to move on up towards Florida with limited shearing.
Yeah, so here we go. This is basically the kitchen, and it is cooking in a big way. Going forward in time, this is what we anticipate. Slow moving, and finally we hit the accelerator and start to go up a northerly drive.
So Reynolds, look how the thunderstorms are really starting to rev up around the center of our tropical depression, and we'll continue to monitor it for Cancun, western Cuba, and eventually moving up towards Florida in just the next couple of days, guys. So we really need to be ready for it.
Yeah, no surprise at all that this is going to have some major impacts for areas that saw remarkable devastation from Hurricane Michael. That's right, Hurricane Michael back in 2018. A couple shots here. Port St. Joe on the left, where it's 79 degrees, and playing copycat with the temperatures in Mexico Beach, not far from Panama City Beach. Although nothing suggests the system will be the same